Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just gave my spiel and realized I hadn't gone live yet. Welcome to our Tuesdays and Thursdays chat. I am Carol C.C. Miller, your positive life strategist, peace activator, and global hugger, coming to you with another episode of Embrace Your Life Chat, where the intention is to heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows through a positive focus. So while you see me here on the screen, this is a community chat. So join me in comments. Let me know where you are joining me from. I am in Chicago, Illinois. It is a very hot summer day here. Very grateful for air conditioning. But again, join me. Let me know who is joining me today, and we will get started in the conversation in just a moment. One thing or two things that I like to share before we get going on today's topic is one, I'm not an absolutist. And what does that mean? I'm not a big believer in the words always, never, right, wrong, good or bad. There are 7 billion people on this planet. I can't begin to say what is always right for 7 billion people. So I personally work on a scale from 0 to 100, 0 being always negative, 100 being always positive. 0 always unkind, 100 always kind. I don't know anybody at 0 or 100, but I do know people who are closer to those numbers. So my personal work that I do and work that I do with some of my clients is to be in the 80 to 100% of the time, positive, loving, kind, compassionate, and peaceful. Those are my top values to live by. What does that mean? If I'm 80 to 100% of the time there, then 10% of the time I am not there. Fear visits me, frustration visits me, anger, disappointment, unworthiness, all the normal feelings that we go through visit me. But because of my daily practices and the fact that I choose to move forward to live the life I want to live, they visit, they don't move in. Keep in mind, although my personal work, which I've been doing for many years now, is to be in the 80 to 100% of the time. I could actually probably say 90 to 100% of the time. But 51% is when you're in the majority of time. If right now where you find yourself, you're at 20, 30, maybe 10, although I don't know that people at a 10% are probably watching me, but it's not you're right or wrong. It's not that you're good or bad. It's where you are right now. And now because you're aware of where you're at, you can choose to feel a little bit better. You can start taking small steps into progressing into where you want to be rather than where you may find yourself today. Again, this isn't a judgment on you being a bad person or a wrong person if you find yourself below the 50%. Again, it's just where you are and where you want to go with that. So, secondly, I'm a coach. I love supporting people in living their best life, whatever that looks like. I am not a counselor nor am I a therapist. And sometimes to live your best life, getting that type of support is important. I just believe you are worthy of living your best life. So whether it's hiring me as your coach, being here every Tuesday and Thursday and chatting with me, or seeking out counseling or therapy, whatever type of support system you need to live your best life, I highly encourage you to work on getting that type of support around you. So hello, Kathy. Good to see you. And I think I don't know that my comments are working well, but anyway, Kathy is here. Kathy, please remind me where you're from. I am sorry, I don't remember, but welcome. So today's topic is permission. And what are you waiting for to live your best life? What is it that's holding you back? What are you afraid to move forward with? So today is about permission, to give yourself permission to live that best life, to be the person you want to be, to have the dreams that you want to fulfill, that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to work on today. Ohio. Thank you, Kathy. I wasn't sure. So the definition of permission is the act of permitting, formal consent, or authorization. So again, it's the act of permitting, formal consent, or authorization. So what are you giving yourself consent on to move forward to do? What are you giving yourself the authority to do? Now, I understand many of us, whether we're in a relationship where it's not necessarily give permission, but we need to make sure that we're congruent with what the other people in our family need and are doing, or whether it's a boss situation. There are some things that we can't give ourselves permission to do. But for the majority of part, we can give ourselves permission on how we want to perceive the world, how we want to move forward with our own life. And sometimes it takes a little bit more work to do so, depending on the situation we're in. But it really is about asking yourself, what is it that's holding you back? What is it that you're afraid to move forward from? What is it that you think you can't move forward from? And being open to the possibility of seeing it from a different way. Again, I'm not an absolutist. You may be in a situation where it's very rare to shift out of what you're experiencing. However, I don't believe things are impossible. So it's about being open to seeing it from a different way, to seeing different perspectives, to seeing new ideas on how you might move forward from that particular situation. If you've been here before, you know I like to work with affirmations as well. An affirmation is simply a statement. It's not positive or negative. It can be positive and it can be negative, but it's a statement. So I work with positive statements. So I am smart. Pretty sure you would agree with me, is a positive statement. However, if I say I am smart and I immediately think of something that I've done that was not smart, so I immediately negate that affirmation, even though the affirmation is positive, it's not positive for me because I've already said, no, it's not true. So you want your affirmation to be believable, truthful, or just a step further from where you are. But you don't want it to be so far away from where you are that you immediately say that's not true, because then you have taken the power away from your affirmation. Your affirmation is to help replace the negative thoughts that you are in the back of your head that you might put there. Could have been put there at birth. It could have been put there from parents, siblings, friends, teachers, all sorts of different people that we meet. And I would have to say, I really do believe the majority of the negative thoughts we carry weren't even intended to be negative, but we took them that way for whatever reason. Or I should say the intention behind what people say to us often isn't meant to be hurtful, even though it can be hurtful. So the affirmation is to replace that. So your default mechanism is to be, I believe in me, I'm worthy of, I deserve this, rather than your default mechanism to be, this has never worked before, or, life's a struggle, or the normal things that we tend to fall back into, especially when things are challenging. When things are going well, it's pretty easy to stay in that state. But when we're in that space of this isn't working, it's really easy to give our attention to what's not working more than focusing on what is working when we're in that space. So today's affirmation is, I give myself permission to thrive. And I ask you to see how does that feel when you say it. I give myself permission to thrive. Now, if you're in a place right now where you're in survival mode, thriving is probably too big of a picture to even see. If right now you're in a space of needing to make sure there's food on the table, that you have a place to live, the basic survival necessities, thriving is probably too far out. So it might be, I'm in the process of giving myself permission to thrive. I'm giving myself permission to feel better, but it's something that needs to be believable to you. So I would be encouraged to see what you would consider a good affirmation there. So please put that in comments as well. And if you're watching a replay, because I do come back later and check, because I don't always see the comments while I'm live. So just let me know if it's a replay, and I will certainly answer any questions as well. But today's affirmation is, I give myself permission to thrive. And what does thriving look like to you? Well, for me, thriving is living my best life. It's following my dreams. It's doing more of what I want rather than doing what I don't want. And I don't want to say that there's never things that we don't want that we still need to do. An analogy that someone told me years and years ago, and it just really makes sense to me, is farmers, they put manure out on their crops in the spring and get it fertilized and all ready to have the crops flourish in the fall. My guess is, I know I wouldn't want to be putting the manure and the fertilizer out there, but it's a necessary step. So they probably aren't like, woo, this is fun today, but they know it's a necessary step to get to what they want. So most of us, maybe not everything you want, but probably the majority of things you want out there, there's probably a step here or there that isn't fun, that might be challenging, it might be hard, But when you look at the final end result of what you want, you know it's important to get you to what you want. So focus on what you want, focus on where you want to be, and know that some of those steps along the way may be a little bit more challenging than others. So the tips for the today is really all about giving yourself permission. Be aware of how you feel right now. If you feel frustrated, if you feel angry, if you feel disappointed, if you feel unworthy, if you feel sad, depressed, any of those lower feelings that are common and most of us have at some point, give yourself permission to feel a little bit better. Not asking you to go from grief to joy. I'm asking you to go one step closer to what you want to be rather than maybe where you're at. Give yourself permission to feel what you need to feel. Maybe you're not ready to move on from where you're at right now and you need to sit there for a while longer. The point is to not beat yourself up over what you're doing, but you're aware of how you feel. So when you're aware of those feelings, then you get to decide, this doesn't feel good, I'm going to move forward to feeling better, or this doesn't feel good, but I need to sit here for a while. And that's okay too. It's not a right or wrong when you're angry to decide, I need to stay angry for a bit. Sometimes I'm not ready to release my frustration or my anger. It isn't, I'm acting out upon it, but I have not processed it yet to move forward. So give yourself permission to feel a little bit better. Give yourself permission to know, I need to stay here for a little bit longer. The awareness puts you in the driver's seat. The awareness allows you to make the decisions on, I'm staying here, I need to process this, or I'm ready to move forward. Either way, the awareness helps you. When you're living on autopilot, life is living you and you're not living life. So give yourself permission to feel a little bit better. Give yourself permission to observe rather than absorb. There is a lot going on in the world that if we absorb that energy, the negative energy of what's going on, then it easily impacts us into feeling worse about ourselves, feeling bad about the world, feeling all these feelings because we're absorbing what's going on rather than observing what's going on. When we're in observing mode, then we can come more from solutions-based, not asking you to ignore the hard parts of your life or the world. I'm asking you to observe it so you can come from solutions, come from compassion and kindness on how we can move forward to make it into your life, into a community, into the world of what you want in your life rather than what you don't want. When you're absorbing it, you tend to constrict, you go into fight or flight mode, and it's harder to see possibilities when you're in that space. Doesn't mean you can't see them, but it just makes it more challenging to see them from there. Give yourself permission to go after your dreams. I encourage you to ask yourself, when you think about your dreams, do you often go into, well, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough money for this, I don't have the right education, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't live in the right place in the world for this. So we negate our dreams because they're a little scary from where we're at. So give yourself permission to follow your dream. I'm not saying maybe right now you have $5 in your bank account and you want a $500,000 home to go out there and put that all on a credit card or anything. But I am saying to take a step forward to, okay, right now I'm not in this space, but I'm going to take some action to move me forward into where I want to be rather than where I'm at. And please, if you hear nothing else from me, realize it's about being gentle with yourself. If you are in a hard, challenging spot right now in your life or in your day, it does not make you right or wrong or good or bad. It's where you're at. How do you feel about it? And what small step can you do to feel a little bit better? And if you still need to feel what you're feeling, it's okay to be there too. It's the awareness that is key for that. Give yourself permission to try new things. Give yourself permission to let go of what no longer serves you. Give yourself permission to be happy. And I think this one comes into play when maybe your loved ones are in an unhappy place or things are hard for people that you care about, and yet you're not in that space, that you feel like your happiness is making their sadness, their disappointment harder. You cannot be sad enough to make someone happy. You cannot be poor enough to make somebody wealthy. So you can be empathetic. You can do what you can to support them where they're at. But you bringing yourself down is not going to help them, and it's not going to serve you either. So give yourself permission to be happy. Give yourself permission to be okay with not being okay. I think a lot of times we want to feel happy all the time. We want to be healthy all the time and abundant all the time and living our best life all the time. And that's why I work on the scale, because I am not always happy. I am not always positive. I am not always kind. Often my unkindness is directed to myself, but it's still not always. I'm just not always anything. But I am the majority of the time happy. I am the majority of the time kind. I am the majority of the time compassionate. Sometimes I'm not compassionate. So it's about being who you want to be the majority of the time. Most of the time, I show up with love, kindness, compassion, and peace and positivity as my guides the majority of the time. But I don't always. So that's why the absolute words are not things that I personally like. Give yourself permission to slow down and pause. Sometimes when we get into that frustrated state or the angry state, we just run with it. So give yourself permission to pause, take some deep breaths. This doesn't feel good. What will feel a little bit better? Slow down, pause, and reevaluate whatever's going on. So when you do that, you're giving yourself permission to think about solutions rather than blame, shame, and complain. Blame, shame, and complain is super easy to go into. It's a very, I don't want to call it an attractive energy. Let's say it's an enticing energy. It's something, it's like that shiny silver ball that grabs your attention because you keep seeing it sparkle on the outside the corner of your eye. Give yourself permission to leave relationships or jobs or anything else that isn't for your best and highest self. I'm not saying ask for a divorce today or quit your job today, but I am saying if it's not working for you, give yourself permission to look for ways for you to move on and move forward into what works for you. I'm also not saying to not give those relationships, the important relationships, all you can to have them work. It's not like, okay, I'm mad at this person, so I'm going to leave. But it is about if you've done what you can to make that job work, if you've done what you can to make that relationship work and it's still not working, you only have control over your part of it. So give yourself permission to move forward without that relationship, without that job. Give yourself permission to open your heart for love again. Maybe you've had relationships that you've been hurt, so you've shut yourself down from it. And you bring those old relationships or those old jobs that they didn't appreciate me, they didn't pay me well, they made me work long hours, or whatever we did not like from our past experience. We often bring it into our new experience because we're expecting more of the same. So give yourself permission to see things differently. Your last relationship, it didn't work for who knows what reasons, but it didn't work. Don't bring that energy into the new relationship. Your last boss didn't work for whatever reason. Don't bring that energy into the new job situation. Give yourself permission to see it differently now and to open your heart and to have that love back into your life. And give yourself permission to join me every Tuesday and Thursday. I had to throw that one in too. So it's really about today is to give yourself permission. And what is it that you want in your life? And what is it that you want to experience in your life? And start finding ways to give yourself permission to go after that. Again, there are certain situations. I can't give myself permission necessarily at work to play all day. So I'm not telling you to ignore the things that you're responsible for in your life and the things that you're committed to in your life. But where you can give yourself permission, and you can give yourself permission to see those responsibilities in a different way as well. So that's what I have for you today, is to give yourself permission. I'd love to know what you're giving yourself permission for in comments. So let me know that. And I'll come in and see if there's any questions about that as well. And if you have another topic you would like me to cover to bring a little bit more love, kindness, compassion, and peace, if it's something I am comfortable with, I will add it to a future Embrace Your Life chat discussion. So let's see what's going on in comments. Kathy, I just lost it. If what I am doing isn't working, I need to change what I am doing. I give myself the opportunity to try new things so I can have a happy, productive life. I love that, Kathy. And sometimes, even if what I'm doing isn't working, I would say, I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of a knowing that it's not working, because it might be you need to look at it from a different angle. It might be that you're being hard on yourself in that moment and it is working, or it's just taking longer to work than what you want it to. So it's not necessarily, again, it's not an absolute. So it doesn't mean this doesn't work, I'm done. It's this isn't working. What can I do to make it work, to allow it to work, to make it fun to be in that situation, and also knowing when it's simply not working to move on. So I'm not a black and white, good or bad person. So it's about that knowing this isn't working for me. And Kathy, just, it could be working for somebody else. And if it's still not working for you, even if you've tried to make it work, you only have control of what you can do for you and what you can do for this situation. So if it's truly not working, look for ways to either help it work better or move on and move forward into situations that do work for you. I really do believe that, even though that can sound very selfish, when you are coming from a space of love, we aren't doing things to harm other people. We aren't speaking in ways that are harming other people. We aren't taking other people's feelings. We are taking other people's feelings and intentions into consideration, and still knowing this isn't working for me. It's time to do something different. So that is what I have for you today. Let me see, Kathy, even though I'm still in a state of grieving, I give myself permission to be happy. That is wonderful. And I think the more you move forward with the grief, I don't know, Kathy, I don't recall how long ago it was, so I don't recall the funeral. But I think at funerals I've gone to, there's still laughter. Like, there's a lot of tears, but there's still, when you're sharing stories about that person, there's laughter in that moment. So grief is not absent of laughter. Grief is not absent of happiness. It's part of it. And the more that you start to move forward, the more laughter and happiness and the memories start making you smile more than they make you cry. And tears, by the way, are not a bad thing either. So I'm not trying to say be happy all the time, because that's part of the grief thing. But the more that you move forward, remembering that person that's gone would want you to be happy. And the more that you're going to find happiness and smiles and laughter are a bigger part of your day than the mind-stopping grief that you feel like you can't move forward from. It's not, for me, it's not moving on, it's moving forward. So that is what I have for you today. If I'm missing anybody's comments, it's because I'm not seeing anybody's comments. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you on Thursday. Not sure what the topic is yet, but it will be something about heightening your celebrations and lessening your sorrows through a positive focus. So go out there and have a wonderful day. Remember, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the world. And most importantly, you matter to you. We'll talk soon. So long for now.